Over 4 decades ago, I made the decision to have an abortion. At the time, I would have said that my wife and I made that decision together, but it was my decision and mine alone. I can remember it like yesterday. We were in our living room. I was sitting on the floor and my wife was on the couch. I was looking up at her when she said, "I'm pregnant." My first thought was, this isn't our plan. Our plan was that we were first going to get ahead financially. My time was consumed with constant work. I wasn't ready for fatherhood. Her plan was to become a teacher, so in my mind, she wasn't ready for motherhood. This was just too soon. A bit later, we received advice from our doctor. He told us that the pill my wife was using meant that the baby had a near certainty of severe birth defects and advised an abortion. He told us that there would be no side effects. So I seized on his reasoning. It made my decision to abort even seem humane. It was a perfect plan, except that it wasn't. My wife suffered complications and depression. We never talked about it. We lost our closeness, our intimacy. Work kept me going, but she had a lot of lonely times. Our marriage eventually dissolved. My life changed for the worse. I rebounded into another marriage, which didn't even last a year. I began to work obsessively in order to grab bigger paychecks and promotions. I didn't want to go home, as home was a dark and lonely place. Every weekend I went drinking, sometimes not knowing how I got home. I hated my life. I began to hate who I was. I felt powerless and unworthy of family and fatherhood. Turning 70 and married to a wonderful wife for 30 years, I thought I could live a happy life in retirement. But I simply couldn't shake strange feelings of anger and guilt. So I took stock of my life. I didn't like what I saw. I remember sitting in my recliner reading a book when a passage about abortion hit me hard. Suddenly, all my buried memories came back crystal clear, including that living room. I knew that I couldn't run away from my abortion anymore. I knew I needed help. I knew I needed to tell someone. It took months, but I finally told my wife. With a smile and tears, she hugged me and told me she would support me no matter what I needed to do. I felt that I could breathe a little. A few months later, I was with a bunch of my outdoor buddies. One was my Bible study leader. While the rest were grilling on the fire, we took a walk. Shaking, I told him my story. Holding my arm with tears in his eyes, he gave me a glimmer of hope. That hope led me to an event to hear about pain men and women go through after abortion. The speaker invited me to join a Keys to Hope and Healing men's group. There I found men willing to help me without a drop of judgment, but with a ton of compassion. I found that I wasn't alone. The men were all different ages, young men, all the way up to baby boomers like me. With work and time, I found forgiveness and some peace. I found the ability to cry for my son and to name him. The help I received from support after abortion was simply phenomenal. And now I'm privileged to be a volunteer helping to mentor men to find hope and healing just like I did.